Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.
Hello viewers, this is Naazir Mahmood once again talking to you on Gauri channel. Today we will talk about the recent case and the issue of Attorney General, because recently our Attorney General had to resign. His name was Anwar Mansoor Khan. So briefly in this 8 to 10 minutes talk, I will talk about the role of Attorney General in Pakistan and some of the most important Attorney Generals that we have had, and the current role of Attorney General in the case of Justice Faiz Isa. Attorney General is the highest law officer in the government, and of course law minister is the one who heads the ministry, but as far as the government representation in the court is concerned, Attorney General takes the responsibility. So if we look at the history of Pakistan, the longest serving longest serving Attorney General was Fayaz Ali. He was appointed in 1950 by the then Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, and he continued for full 9 years from 1950 to 1959. And in that period, at least half a dozen prime ministers came in and were forced to resign or had to quit for some reasons, but Attorney General remained the same. So that shows that at that time the government did not consider that with each new prime minister or each new government it was important to remove the Attorney General, because Attorney General essentially represented the federation, right? So there was a consistency from 1950 to 59. But then when democracy in Pakistan, whatever nascent democracy we had, was packed up, and General Iskandar Mirza imposed martial law, and then General Ayub Khan took over. So from 1959 we see that for 11 years of General Ayub Khan, for 11 years we had as many as 6 Attorney Generals. And that shows that some people who claim that Ayub Khan's period was a very stable period, that stability was only for General Ayub Khan, because he removed not only ministers but Attorney Generals also at his will. So as many as 6 Attorney Generals were changed. Then after 1969, when General Ayub Khan had to resign, we see that a new personality emerges on the scene who would play a very important role in Pakistan's history, and his name was Sharifuddin Pirzada. Now Sharifuddin Pirzada was first appointed Attorney General by Ayub Khan himself in 1966, but when the then Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto resigned, Ayub Khan appointed Sharifuddin Pirzada as the Foreign Minister. In 1969, when Yahya Khan assumed power, at that time Sharifuddin Pirzada was Foreign Minister of Ayub Khan, but in the new government he was appointed Attorney General. And full 3 years from 1968 to 1971, during the dictatorship of General Yahya Khan, Sharifuddin Pirzada was the Attorney General. He defended him in the court, and he offered and provided him all the legal support to that military dictator. Then when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto assumed power in December 1971, Yahya Bikhtiyar was appointed Attorney General, and he remained Attorney General for almost 6 years, from 1971 to 1977. And then when General Ziaul Haq took over, he once again called Sharifuddin Pirzada, because he had served very well the military dictator General Yahya Khan. So Ziaul Haq called him back and once again appointed as Attorney General. So, and then he served for full 8 years at a stretch. So after Fayaz Ali, 9 years of Fayaz Ali, Sharifuddin Pirzada's at a stretch was the longest period of 8 years, from 77 to 1985. And during that period he supported General Ziaul Haq, he defended him in the courts and offered him all the support to mutilate the constitution. So by that time, if you look at history of Pakistan from 1950 to let's say 1985, in 35 years, we had 9-year period of Fayaz Ali Khan, then in 2 different terms Sharifuddin Pirzada for 8 years, 3 years with General Yahya and 8 years with General Ziaul Haq, and 6 years of almost 6 years of Yahya Bikhtiyar. Then after 1985, when so-called controlled democracy was restored and Muhammad Khan Junejo became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a new personality emerges. In fact, he was not very new. He had been supporting, and his name was Aziz A. Munshi. And this Aziz A. Munshi was the nephew of former Prime Minister of 1950s, I. Chundrigar. Aziz A. Munshi also played almost the same negative role as played by Sharifuddin Pirzada. And when I say negative role, what it means? The negative role to me means when a law officer or anybody tries to sabotage democracy, supports military dictatorships, and offers advice to the military dictator to mutilate the constitution. Sharifuddin Pirzada also did the same thing, and Aziz A. Munshi also did the same thing. So Aziz A. Munshi, in 4 different terms, in all he was Attorney General for 7 years. I will show you the details. So, but when after Junejo, democracy was restored and Benazir Bhutto became Prime Minister, Yahya Bikhtiyar was again appointed Attorney General, and this time he remained for 20 months of Benazir's government. So in 2 terms, Yahya Bikhtiyar was Attorney General for 7 or 7.5 years total. And then Aziz A. Munshi in 4 different times, and then when Nawaz Sharif took over, he also appointed Aziz A. Munshi as Attorney General, and in 3-year period from 90 to 93 with Nawaz Sharif, he was the one who was Attorney General. And then finally, when General Pervez Musharraf assumed power, he mounted a coup against Nawaz Sharif. So he also appointed, the 4th time he appointed Aziz A. Munshi as Attorney General, and this time he was Attorney General for 2 years from 99 to 2001. So if you look at Aziz A. Munshi, he was first for brief period 1 year or so with Ziaul and Junejo, and then 3 years with Nawaz Sharif, and then finally 2 years with Dictator General Musharraf. So in all, in 4 different terms, he was Attorney General for 7 years. And in 2001, General Musharraf appointed Makhdoom Ali Khan as Attorney General, and he occupied that office from 2001 to 2007. So if you look at the whole 7 decades of Pakistan's history, we have had in all 35 Attorney Generals in Pakistan. And out of those 35 AGs, only 5, that is Fayaz Ali for 9 years, Sharifuddin Pirzada for 11 years in 2 different terms, Yahya Bikhtiyar for 7 years in 2 terms, and then Aziz A. Munshi 7 years in 4 different terms, and Makhdoom Ali Khan for 6 years at a stretch with General Musharraf. These were Attorney General for more than 30 years. So that means that the remaining 30 Attorney Generals held their office just for hardly 1 year or so, 1 year or 15 months or so. Now coming back to this present case, what was the problem? The problem was that there was a reference filed against Justice Faiz Isa, who had impeccable reputation. He is a very highly respected judge in Pakistan, belongs to Balochistan, and very honest, good, fine reputation. But Imran Khan's government filed a reference against him, and the charges were that he accumulated assets beyond his mean, and these assets are not in Pakistan, but these assets are out of country in England. And the version of Justice Faiz Isa was that, you know, this reference was essentially targeting him. Why? Because in the 2 previous important cases, he had given verdicts that were not liked by the powers that be, or the establishment, or the powers who make the decision. So first decision was in Quetta blast case, in which he blamed that, you know, our security apparatus had failed, and the second was against the sit-in. In that also his verdict was that institutions or security apparatus has no business intervening and mediating between the protesters and the government of the time, elected government of the time. So Faiz Isa said that the government, PTI government, didn't like it. So the whole case is false, and it is just a trap to dismiss him. Mansoor Ali Khan could not defend, so he leveled some charges against the judges. So they demanded apology. He apologized, but he had to resign. So briefly, this is the case. We don't know what will be the ultimate outcome of this case, but In brief, this 8 to 10 minute talk, I try to explain to you some history of Attorney Generals and about the important Attorney Generals in the history of Pakistan. In the end, I would like to request you to subscribe to Gauri channel. Thank you very much.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon, so you never miss any new updates, cause whenever we upload new video you will get a notification on your phone.